Hey fellas, what's going on? Agent not the least here. It's been quite a bit of an eventful 2 weeks for me while I was gone, but I have a small update for you guys. First of all, let me go to my YouTube studio. Thanks to DS and SFL, I realized something was wrong with my system. Second, I almost died 2 weeks back. Not died, more like I survived unscratched, but from a pretty bad road accident. So, got quite a few things to say, but the first things first, in the matter of hand, this guy's question felt so valid that I actually had to make this response video because I have quite a lot of things. I'm sure you might be seeing a lot of NVIDIA apps open in the background along with this because there's quite a few things I need to unpack before I get even started today actually. And yeah, if you're going with a question, I mean, not even the question, it's just a simple comment of, are you playing on 4K or something? I'm getting stable cap 120 Hz at 3440x 1440. That's a 1440p ultra wide monitor with a 3080 Ti 10700K and with much higher settings than me. Boy, oh boy, did that trigger something in me, I have to say. Though it wasn't Warframe which induced this for me, it was some other game. I'll get to it soon. Don't worry about it. I know I'm going about the same question for the last 2 minutes. Anyway, let me not waste any more time and actually get into the content for you guys. So the thing is, I run a Samsung Odyssey G7. If I go to NVIDIA app, go to settings about my rig, I think so there should be an option, I think. Hold up, I forgot. System, maybe, am I wrong? My rig. You can see this is my system settings. So I'm running a 4070 Ti Super along with a Ryzen 7900X as my system config with 64 GB of RAM. Pretty overkill for gaming as well as multi-streaming sometimes. So, I need to give some headspace for OBS to run in the background while even playing. So if you remember the Soulframe video, the game had pretty bad FPS on my 4070. And I had to revisit some of my settings because Warframe and Soulframe are based off the same game engine, though they have gone pretty different paths after Prelude 10. And in my absence of 2 weeks, the Prelude 10 has dropped, which brought a lot more optimization to the game. I will get into that, but first of all, Warframe. What's with Warframe? You are seeing my game is capped at 120 FPS. If you see my GPU utilization right now, it's at 87%. The thing is, I'm recording, I always want to keep like about 10% of my GPU power load to OBS as well. So that's why I try to keep a game in between of 70 to 90% when I'm playing the game. So hence I cap my FPS. You can see the power draw is pretty low for a 4070. But look at the game settings now. The thing is, I am having the FPS capped right now. But let's uncap the FPS. I'll keep it at 360 because I'm sure it won't exceed. And let me just turn off the camera because the camera is passed through NVIDIA's broadcast app. And now see the FPS climb up pretty high. I'm sure it won't cross 300, but consistent 200 FPS. And because of that, if you see when I'm not recording, that FPS will be like around that. But I keep it at 120 because I have a 240 Hz display, which means I need to keep the display's multiplication the same factor of 240 is half of, 120 is half of 240. That's how the math goes. And you can see I have pretty good headroom. This is with Warframe, the GPU VRAM usage of 2.2 GB. But now, let's go to Soulframe, the game which initially sparked this question. Because what happened is, I almost punched my PC, like breaking monitor level because of how frustrated I was when this issue happened to me. And it's been 2 weeks. It's not even 2 weeks, it's already 3 weeks since the actual incident. So yeah, coming to Soulframe, now if you see, oh my god, what's the initial lag? I'm going into the game. The game is that like running much higher FPS, but you can see the GPU utilization is quite high because I have gone ahead and cranked up some more of my Soulframe game settings which makes the game look much better and much more polished. Like, as long as the game is able to run more than 60 FPS, which it's not while I'm running OBS. So what I'll do is let me turn off the camera and let's see if the FPS climbs up a bit. Yes, that definitely did climb up my FPS, you can see. I also have Soulframe capped at 120 FPS, just so you know. It's just that I had to turn off the camera for it to get more compute resource. But you can see here, like, this is almost the same settings what I had for Warframe, with the only difference being I have dynamic lighting and volumetric lighting on in Warframe. The rest are all the same for me, and I have turned off the DLSS as usual. I'll get into it why I'm doing that, but you want to know how many FPS I'm getting in this game? I'm gonna uncap the FPS for this game. Nightfall. You guys are gonna see why I'm saying this. Like, look at the FPS climb within a few seconds. Unless it's not going to do it now, because it was doing that a few hours back when I was testing my recording. And OBS is taking up the FPS cap. Wait, did I save it? I definitely did, I think. Yes. Anyway, I guess the game doesn't want to show me when I actually need it. Oh my god, why can't I reach 120? Confirm it. But let me get back the camera on. So while in Nightfall, the FPS looks pretty stable, actually. But if I go to some other games that are pretty much like Nvidia titles, let's just say, my FPS was dropping pretty badly. But before that, let me divert this video a bit because I want to talk about something with you guys. And this is something I want to make more of a public statement than, out of concern for everyone on the road. So this is something that happened to me just about exactly 15 days back from now. What happened is I was at work. I was returning. My week had been pretty shit actually that week. And I was mentally quite a bit stressed, let's just say. So I was returning to my home. This bike is me. There's this scooter. There's this one big SUV. There's another big SUV. I was tailing the SUV. And this is coming out from a flyway, like flyovers junction to the main road. Well, this is the main road towards the right where this SUV is coming from. I need to go to this lane. And this is one more lane which merges with the flyover exit. So what happened is, since I'm coming from the flyover exit, I can see what's going on in both these lanes, but not this two cannot see what's going on. And what happened is I survived. I have to say, like, I'm really thankful for my mental instinct sometimes, because I'm a like novice track day rider. So road safety is something I do take in concern sometimes. So let's say I was moving along with this car. So the car will go like this, I'll go like this, we'll merge with the right lane and we'll go like this. Okay, fine. No problem here. This is a scooter. Let's assume a scooter is usually done by two people, but the scooter had four. So what happened is, four kids, no protective gear. Those were college students, if I don't say, because I saw two of them having the IDs around the neck. So the SUV is coming slowly. This guy, instead of going from this way, he comes straight from here, comes here. This SUV is right about here. The SUV ahead of me is right here. The scooter is in a pretty pinch spot. He comes like this, while the SUV is like this. He barely doesn't scrape the both. And since I was in the blind spot of this scooter, he comes, oh, not that one. The scooter comes and hits me while this both come. Guess what happened? This guy's hit my right knee while I was going the downhill, while this guy's going uphill. The scooter's body hits my leg, hits me. I tumble over. Those guys tumble over. They go into the lane. These two cars immediately stop right here, right here. I almost fell off the guard railing of this bridge. Though surprisingly I didn't. And my head goes and hits the barrier to the side. No physical injury because I jumped off the bike the moment the scooter hit my leg. I can't say much about the four kids because the guy in the back seat flew off the scooter, went and hit the SUV in the back. His head hit the bonnet. And the other guy just fell down. Two of them broke the legs. Pretty fatal accident, I have to say. I got unscratched because my head did get the impact from crashing into the left barrier like this. Bike took the brunt of it because it scraped along the barrier. My head hit the barrier and it just broke my helmet off along with the visor. Surprisingly, I survived. I'm really grateful for that. Sometimes, guys, please, if you're going on a road, please maintain some road decency. Also, this red block is supposed to be a barrier in the middle so that you don't, go like this immediately. You have to go around. But this guy came like this. Oh, sorry, wrong vehicle. This scooter. So he was supposed to come like this. But instead, he came like this. And since he wanted to dodge both the vehicles because he was in the middle like this, he came and hits me in the back. Because those guys couldn't maintain the balance. It's 4 people on a single scooter. Well, enough of me ranting about this. I'm happy that I survived. I was in hospital for 4 days because of the leg injury and the concussion I received after the accident. But I came back safely. I couldn't just, focus on anything after that. So that's why this video is taking so long. And I'm really happy about that, to be honest. Sorry for taking quite a few minutes. It's just that this thing was bothering me for past 2 weeks because I wanted to get this video out, but life happens and I'm happy that I got it. Life, man. I'm sorry, but if I'm saying the same things again and again. Coming back to the topic of the games. So I'm going to go to the next illustration. This is something I'm going to explain in a bit because you guys need to understand why that issue happened where I did say, where is his comment? He asked me, was I playing in 4K or something? And I will blame Nvidia for this, especially how they release a buggy driver. I'm a different driver as of now. But before I say anything, I would like to bring up one of the videos by JS2Cents, which covered this on just a month ago. The thing is, also a month ago, if you guys remember, can I go to my channel, please? Your channel. And if you go to my channel right now, just about a month ago, my PC was hit with a cyber attack. I didn't notice. I thought I would just get by. But I just auto-installed whatever was in the latest version. And I'll let Jay explain what happened because he is the better person for this. I'll link this video down in the description. You guys definitely go and check it out if you want to know what actually happened. And let me shut up and you guys listen to what Jay is saying here.
So you might have heard of some of the recent driver problems that started affecting 50 series people and then 40 series after that, where they would go to black screen and sometimes a driver wipe would bring it back, and other people had extreme scenarios where their cards never came back from the dead.
This was just for sleep, but the thing is, this also paralleled into a different issue for me, and I'll get into it, but let me show you the version of, I'm sure he mentioned in this video, and I had to revisit after a month because I was down for 2 weeks. This video would have come the day when the comment arrived because I was 90% done, but the thing is, I couldn't get it in the frame of thought which is more coherent, let's just say. So I'll let Jay complete his statement. I'll show you the version number which made this issue initially for me.
Today we're going to talk about driver, 576.02.
This is the driver number. It came on middle of April. Right now in middle of June, almost. It's just 9th of June right now. But this was the driver I was on, which I was installed by Nvidia back then. And this thing almost messed me up so bad that I was so molding, especially with something that's more of an Nvidia title, to be more specific, because that's where I identified the issue, and it was thanks to a real life friend who saw me almost lose my shit and was like, hold up, I'm coming to a place, let's see this through kind of shit. That's how bad it was. So the thing we are going to be talking about is DSR factor. And this thing got enabled at 576.02 on my device. Every time whenever I set up my PC, the thing is, I always check all the settings. And this time, this setting didn't work properly. Let's just say that it updated in this place at 4x. It was updating on its own with a driver update. I don't know how it happened because the moment NVIDIA app was released, I transitioned over. I stopped using GeForce Experience. Even if you look up my system, I won't have it. Let me show. GeForce Experience. There is no app, as you can see in the system. But My friend, being the wise one, he pulled up NVIDIA control panel. OG NVIDIA control panel, which is the trusted and always works. So what he did, he went to global settings and he just kept scrolling here and he looked at this setting. He asked, why is the system cranked up to 4x? I said, I don't know, I haven't touched it. And by default, this should not be on your system. So this setting got turned on for me, which added a lot more layers of stupidity, let's just say. And the only reason I even found out was from a game called as Grid 2019 or any Nvidia title, that being you can go for Destiny 2 if you're playing that, or even something like Borderlands 3. So let me open up Grid if I can open it. Not that, never mind. I forgot that this game doesn't show up. So let's go here, because it'll be much easier to show me in this game, because this is the first game that I actually noticed this issue on, like in real time. So what happened here is, you know how you go to your video settings every time you have a hand card, especially if you're having multiple displays like me. You go to videos, video settings, display to borderless full screen. And here, by default, this would turn to full screen if you have DSR on. And every time I reboot my system, the system will say you are on full screen. This resolution used to get cranked up to 4K. And I was like, why is this doing? I keep turning it back every reboot, and it was quite a bit frustrating, let's just say. And I had to turn it back off now. And that's how I figured out the issue initially. But the thing is, I couldn't put my finger on it. And then came my friend. So he said, why is the DSR on? Because the setting here was showing us off, but in NVIDIA control panel it showed on. I should have checked it myself, given I was pretty technically sound when this kind of shit happened back in the day. But somehow this kept totally my mind. The thing is, do as I say, not as I do as half the time I say in the past. But that's all okay, because I'm going to explain to you why this happens, and it's got to be that Indian guy with lecture mode on. So this is how you normally game should be. That is, no upscaling if you're not using something like DLSS or FSR, or if you're on AMD. So game engine will ask your graphics card and your display settings. So basically, if I'm playing on 1440p, my monitor should report to my graphics card that I need 1440p resolution. And this information will be passed to your game engine. For example, Warframe uses Evolution Engine, and the same applies to Soulframe. These both are more of an AMD optimized title, so you will see much more better optimization in that. And if I had an AMD card, I would have caught this much faster in the Warframe, because game-specific optimization do come from NVIDIA for Warframe. It is much more of inclined towards AMD. And the same with Grid 2019, where I initially found that the game was showing up as 4K, because this game is more of an NVIDIA game than an AMD title, and that's the engine I've used. So basically, the monitor resolution is reported to the game. That's the resolution the game is going to render the frames. It can be how many frame rates you want. That's totally up to your GPU. So if you are playing at 1440p, the graphics card will ask you game to make in 1440p. Game will comply, send it back to graphics card at 1440p, and the same will send it to your display. No problem here. This is how it should be normally. Now, let's bring the engine scaling only method, that being the upscalers we are using these days, that being the DLSS from DLSS from NVIDIA, DLA. Both are nearly the same. The same with AMD's FSR or even Intel XS. If you have Intel card, I don't think so anyone I know has that. The thing is, here, your display is reporting 1440p, no issue. But the thing is, your graphics card plays a vital role over here, because it will ask your game to render the frames in lesser than your actual display resolution. So game has much more power to process what needs to come next, hence increasing your frame rate in certain scenarios. And so, for example, I'll take the game renders in the background as 1080p in the game engine, and then it can also go lower or higher depending on game. The thing is, this is entirely up to the developer how they want to optimize it. Like many of the 4K games render at 1080p, then this thing sends back to your GPU, because that's your pass through for your display, right? It goes to GPU. GPU says, okay, I have got the original frames, and I have still a lot more frames in the pipeline. So here the game will scale back the display to the 1440p along with insertion of the fake frames as in form of DLLA or FSR3. Like we'll add more frame rate, render row resolution, scale it up, send you display. So hence you have the 8K, 4K games running at much higher FPS, especially with the games like Cyberpunk, which is a NVIDIA title and it works really, really good. The more like deep learning anti-aliasing settings that turned on, like chef's kiss. No problem here. This is something that happens when you have enough compute to get the better quality. No issues here. Let's come to the next one. The display scaling only controlled by the DGPU. This is where the actual issue starts because this is where I almost screwed up, I'll say. Because see, your actual resolution is 1440p, no issues. Reporting is 4 freaking K. Your display is reporting as 4K because your GPU decided it's a good idea to spoof 4K, but your actual display is 1440p. So the thing is, this arrow should have actually come over here, where it says reporting resolution is 4K, while this is reported as 1440p. No issues here. I forgot to do that. But it uses the technology like DSR and VSR, that being dynamic super resolution or variable super resolution. Then this frame is sent to your game engine saying, I need a 4K resolution frame, no issues. I will render in 4K, I'll send this back to your GPU and send it to your GPU display. This setting in primary is controlled by the anti-aliasing multiplier that you have 2x, 4x, 8x, and 16x. I'm sure you guys have always kept it off because you wanted more performance. So this works basically the same, but the thing is, instead of game doing it, it's a GPU doing the work saying you need to render it at this resolution. Instead of using anti-aliasing and temporal aliasing techniques to upscale. So this will make it run at like much higher, like imagine your display can support only like 100 display pixels, but you're asking your GPU to push 130. And then again, compress the 130 to your 100 pixels and push to your display. So that's the reason why this happens. This is pretty computationally taxing, especially on the game engines, if your hardware is not weak. Luckily for me, I had a 4070, which is pretty beefy of a GPU when it came out, and it still is now. And that's how it is. This is pretty simple, I'll say. Now, welcome to All Hell Breaks Loose. This is what happened to me. My display is running at 1440p, no issues. DSR got turned on, which means my display is being spoofed as a 4K display now instead of a 1440p. It asks the game to render it in 4K, but also says I have DLSS. So the game will try to render something like 1440p, which is my native resolution, or it can be 1080p. I don't know. It depends game to game. Whatever is the frame, not frame, whatever is the resolution that is rendered in the frame will be sent back to your GPU. That's with the DLSS display. So we are coming, it's up to here. It's the same. Like the left side is same. Like this part is the same. Oh, hold up. Can I do this? No fill and a red box stroke. So from this part, it's the same right now. Till here, it's fine. Like you're going here, you're going up to here, it's fine. Now the fuckery happens in the next part. Like you see this part in specific, it's rendering in lower resolution thanks to the DLSS. Your GPU can easily handle if you have a pretty modern GPU. But then scale to 4K. Oh no, it panics. This is basically you are trying to push, and then it again, though it scales 4K, it sends the 1440p, not even the 4K. That's the sad part. So yes, that's what happens here. Let me delete the boxes. So basically, if I want to say, let's copy this thing. First thing is your display gets scaled up. Then your game says I'm going to render it down. So it scales down the display and renders in lower quality, which can almost be equal to what your actual display is. And oh, shouldn't have done that. Oh, let's take this. Take to the GPU. It says no, no, no. We also have DLSS. We scaled it up. Then no, actually, the engine is the one which says DLSS has scaled it up. Then it says I have to reach the target of 4K. So it scales it up once more. And when it goes to actual monitor, it downscales to 1440p because why not? You see a problem here. You're adding one, two, three extra positions of upscaling and downscaling, which being two upscaling is happening, two downscaling is happening if I want to count this one as well. That being, you're downscaling initially, but double upscaling, single downscale. You see the problem? So yes, if you are on NVIDIA's card, please make sure this setting is turned off, first thing. And if you don't believe the settings over here, you always have the trusty NVIDIA control panel over here. But you say you are an AMD user, no issues. I have a AMD integrated GPU, though all the settings won't be visible here. I recommend you go to your own GPU and check this out. But what you're going to do is go to your gaming settings, go to graphics, and here among the settings, you're going to look for the super resolution or variable super resolution, whatever it is, and turn it off if you're on AMD. As far as I know, AMD hasn't have a track record of bearing this fuckery happening in the display department, unlike Nvidia, which has a proven track record of almost every GPU generation I've used. And let's get this once. Unfortunately, this time I was able to catch it and kind of document in a way that actually is very presentable to everyone who is seeing this and prevent from this kind of disaster to happen in real time once more. So, guys, hope you learned something and do check your graphics card settings once before checking the game optimization because many of the new games are coming much less optimized. And if you have this kind of bottleneck going into your new game, I feel you're gonna be in a lot of hurt. Like you'll say, I have this powerful of a PC, why is my game not running well? Like it's struggling at best, is what I would say. And that's all about it, man. And I hope you learned something from my last 28 minutes of being a ranting person. And please, for the love of God, learn how to drive properly on the road. And be safe. This has been Agent Not So Lazy. I'm still recovering from my accidents with some minor pains. Till then, take care. And I'll see you in the next video. Peace out. See you soon.